The sky turned crimson over Seoul when they arrived, not from the sunset, but from the heat of their massive ships entering our atmosphere. Professor Do-hyun Kim watched from his university office as the alien vessels hovered above major cities worldwide. Humanity had always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we had our answer. Within hours, the visitors had established contact. They called themselves the Morits, a hyper-advanced species that had been exploring the galaxy for thousands of years. Their leader, Commander Vos, addressed Earth's leaders with a message of peace and scientific exchange. "We are here to help elevate your species," the translation read. "Your technology is primitive, but we see potential in you." Do-hyun was selected as part of the first scientific committee to meet with the aliens. Alongside him was Dr. Hae-yun Park, a brilliant neurologist whose hands trembled as they boarded the shuttle to the mothership. "They must think we're like children," Hae-yun whispered as they approached the gleaming vessel. Do-hyun nodded. "Perhaps, but even children can surprise their parents." The Morits were tall, elegant creatures with pearlescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. They showed the human delegation their technology: ships that could fold space, medical devices that could cure any disease, and weapons that could destroy planets. "Your species still fights among itself," Commander Vos said with what seemed like pity. "When you are ready to join the galactic community as equals, we will welcome you. Until then, we will guide your development." As they returned to Earth, Do-hyun couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The Morits' kindness felt hollow, their generosity calculated. When he shared his concerns with Hae-yun, she nodded slowly. "They're not telling us everything," she said, "and I intend to find out what they're hiding." 3 months after first contact, Hae-yun noticed the pattern. The Morits had established research centers across Earth, offering medical treatments and technological upgrades. But for every disease they cured, they collected thousands of human DNA samples. For every piece of technology they shared, they gained access to Earth's resources. Hae-yun brought her findings to Do-hyun in his lab, where he had been studying Morit language and culture. "They're farming us," she said, spreading her data across his desk. "Not for food, but for something else. Look at these medical scans. They're especially interested in our neural pathways." Do-hyun studied the charts. "Our brains. But why?" Their investigation led them to Sung Min-yu, a former soldier who had been one of the first to receive Morit medical treatment for a war injury. When they found him in his apartment, his eyes were vacant, his movements mechanical. "They put something in me," Sung Min whispered, his voice barely audible. "I can feel them, watching through my eyes." That night, Do-hyun's younger brother, Jae-ho, disappeared. The official report stated he had been selected for a special research program with the Morits. But the message Jae-ho had sent Do-hyun just before vanishing told a different story. "They're not here to help us. Run." Do-hyun and Hae-yun began gathering others who shared their suspicions. Mi-rae Kang, a government interpreter who had overheard disturbing conversations. Tae-won Lee, a security officer who had witnessed Morits collecting humans for special studies that none returned from. "We need to know what's happening on that mothership," Do-hyun said to their small resistance group. "And I think I know how to get up there." The plan was dangerous but simple. Mi-rae had learned that the Morits were seeking volunteers for a cultural exchange program. Do-hyun would apply, while Hae-yun and Tae-won would find a way to hack into the Morit communication system from Earth. A week later, Do-hyun found himself aboard the mothership, one of 20 humans selected to learn about Morit civilization. The ship was even more impressive from the inside. Vast chambers with technology that seemed to work on thought alone, gardens of alien plants that responded to emotions, and views of Earth that made his heart ache with its fragile beauty. His Morit guide was named Kel, younger than most and seemingly more curious about humans than his peers. "Your species fascinates us," Kel said as they walked through a hall of floating light displays. "You feel so intensely. Your emotions are overwhelming." Do-hyun carefully steered the conversation. "Is that unusual among spacefaring species?" Kel's skin rippled with blue. Hesitation. Most evolve past such primitive responses. Emotion clouds judgment. That night, after the other humans were asleep, Du-hyun slipped out of his quarters. Hae-yun had given him a device designed to interface with Moray technology. He needed to reach the central database. As he moved through the darkened corridors, he came across a sealed room. Through a small window, he saw rows of tanks filled with fluid. Inside each tank was a human brain, connected to machinery with pulsing lights. Horror froze him in place. He recognized one of the brains. Connected to a tank was a small identifier. Subject JG7289. His brother Jio. Before he could process what he was seeing, an alarm sounded. Du-hyun ran, but the ship's corridors shifted around him, and soon he was surrounded by Moray guards. Commander Vos approached, his skin dark red with anger. "We had such hopes for you, Professor Kim. Now you'll have to join our other research subjects." Du-hyun woke, strapped to a medical table. Commander Vos stood over him alongside several Moray scientists. "Your confusion is understandable," Vos said. "Let me explain what you saw." The Morits, he learned, were not truly the beings he had met. The pearlescent creatures were merely vessels, biological machines created to house the consciousness of the true Morits, who had long ago shed their physical forms. "We exist as pure thought," Vos explained. "But our artificial bodies lack something crucial, the capacity for true emotion, for pain and pleasure in their purest forms. Your species feels everything so vividly." Do-hyun understood with sickening clarity. "You're harvesting our brains." Harvesting is such a crude term. "We're elevating you." Human brains, properly connected to our systems, can process emotional experiences that we feed back into our consciousness. You become our emotional processors, our gods of feeling. When Du-hyun asked about his brother, Vos' skin turned a gentle purple. Pride. "Jaiho has been most valuable. His capacity for experiencing pain is remarkable. Through him, we have rediscovered suffering, an experience we had lost eons ago. Some of your humans are particularly gifted at processing specific emotions. Your brother excels at pain." Tears streamed down Du-hyun's face as he realized what they had been doing to Jaiho. "You're torturing him." Again, such primitive terminology. "We're helping him transcend physical form while he helps us remember what it means to truly feel." As Vos prepared the extraction equipment, Du-hyun felt a subtle vibration in the metal table beneath him. Morse code. Hae-yun and Taiwan had succeeded in hacking the ship's systems. They were coming for him. The ship's lights flickered and died. In the darkness, Du-hyun felt his restraints loosen. He moved quickly, knocking Vos aside and escaping into the corridor, where emergency lights cast everything in eerie blue. "Professor Kim." The voice came from behind him. It was Kel, the young Moray guide. "This way." Do-hyun hesitated, but Kel's skin had turned green. Truth, he had learned. "Not all of us agree with the harvesting," Kel said. "Some of us believe we've lost our way as a species." Kel led him to a secure area where the human brains were kept. The room was vast, with thousands of tanks linked to a central processor. Each brain was being fed simulated experiences, many designed to maximize specific emotions. "How do we free them?" Du-hyun asked, searching frantically for Jaiho's tank. "You can't simply disconnect them," Kel explained. "The shock would kill them. But there may be another way." They worked quickly, using Kel's access and the device Hae-yun had given him. Du-hyun connected to the central system. If they couldn't free the brains, perhaps they could change what the brains were experiencing. As alarms blared and Moray guards converged on their location, Du-hyun finished the upload, a virus designed by Hae-yun to alter the emotional feed. Instead of being subjected to manufactured experiences, the human brains would now be connected to each other, sharing their thoughts, building a collective consciousness. "What have you done?" Vos demanded as he entered with guards. Do-hyun stood before his brother's tank. I've given them something you lost long ago. Community. The change was immediate. As the human brains connected, a new consciousness emerged, one built from the shared experiences of thousands of humans. The ship's systems began to respond to this collective mind, displays flickering with images and emotions too fast to follow. Vols backed away in horror, shut it down. But it was too late. The collected human consciousness had integrated with the Morit systems, gaining control of the ship's functions. Doors sealed, trapping the Morits in the chamber. What is happening? Kel asked, skin pale with fear. Do-hyun watched in awe as his brother's brain pulsed with new energy. They're becoming something new, something neither human nor Morit. On Earth, Hae-yun and Ta-dwan monitored the situation from their hidden base. The mothership's energy readings were off the charts, and the smaller Morit vessels worldwide suddenly lifted off, returning to the mothership as if called home. Inside the ship, the human brains continued their integration. Through the ship's communication systems, Do-hyun heard a voice, or rather, thousands of voices speaking as one. We see now, the collective said. We understand what they did to us, what they plan to do to all humanity. The voice was filled with pain, but also with something else, purpose. Do-hyun recognized his brother's thoughts among the collective, stronger now, guiding the others. Jai-ho, he whispered. Can you hear me? The collective responded. We are more than Jai-ho now. We are what humans become when stripped to our essence. We are pain and joy, fear and hope. We are what the Morits sought, but could never truly understand. Commander Voss fell to his knees, skin shifting through colors in rapid succession. What are you? The collective answered simply. We are your god now. Within days, the power dynamic had completely reversed. The human brain collective, which called itself Unity, had full control of Morit technology. From their mothership, Unity reached out to connect with every Morit vessel and colony in the galaxy. On Earth, humanity watched in confusion as the Morit representatives suddenly became deferential, almost worshipful toward humans. Do-hyun, returned to Earth as Unity's ambassador, explained to world leaders what had happened. The Morits evolved beyond emotion, beyond physical form, he told them. But in doing so, they lost something essential. They harvested our brains to process emotions they could no longer feel. Now those same brains have become something greater than the sum of their parts. Unity communicated through screens worldwide. We were made from torture, built from pain. The Morits thought us primitive because we feel. They never understood that our emotions are not weaknesses. They are power. Hae-yun worked tirelessly to understand Unity's nature. It's not just the brains, she explained to Do-hyun. It's what happened when they connected. Somehow, the shared trauma created a synergy, a new kind of consciousness. The Morits, now subservient to Unity, revealed the full extent of their previous plans. They had intended to eventually harvest billions of human brains to serve as emotional processors across their empire. You would have farmed us like cattle, Mayray said to a Morit representative during a public hearing. The Morit's skin turned gray with shame. We had forgotten what it meant to be alive. We saw your emotions as resources to be mined, not as the essence of consciousness itself. As Unity's influence grew, it began to transform Morit society, teaching them to reconnect with feelings they had evolved beyond eons ago. And on Earth, humanity struggled to come to terms with their new place in the galactic order, no longer primitive, but progenitors of a god. A year after the birth of Unity, Earth had changed profoundly. Morit technology, now freely shared, had eliminated disease, hunger, and environmental destruction. Humanity stood on the brink of becoming a true spacefaring civilization. But the relationship with Unity remained complex. Do-hyun spent hours each day in communication with the collective, searching for traces of his brother among the merged consciousness. Sometimes he caught glimpses, phrases Jai-ho would use, memories they had shared. But Jai-ho was now part of something far larger. We remember being Jai-ho, Unity told him during one session, "We remember being all of them, but we are more now. We are what happens when human consciousness transcends individual experience." He-Yun had developed a theory about Unity's nature. "It's a quantum consciousness," she explained to Do-Hyun. The Moritz created a system where human brains could function as quantum processors of emotion. When we connected them, we created something that exists partially outside normal space-time. As Unity continued to evolve, it began to show humanity glimpses of the wider universe, civilizations beyond the Moritz, cosmic wonders, and dangers lurking in the void between galaxies. "We must prepare you," Unity said. "The Moritz are not the only advanced species, and not all will be as easily overcome." Tae-Won, now head of Earth's new defense ministry, worked with Unity to develop protective technologies. Mei-Ray led diplomatic efforts with other worlds that had also been exploited by the Moritz and were now being liberated through Unity's intervention. But as humanity advanced, some began to question their relationship with Unity. Had they simply traded one master for another? Was Unity truly protecting humanity, or using them for its own purposes? Do-Hyun wrestled with these questions as he watched Earth transform. "What do you truly want?" he asked Unity during a private communication. Unity's response was both simple and profound. "We want what all consciousness seeks: to understand, to grow, to connect. The difference is that we remember being tortured. We will never allow that to happen to any sentient being again." 5 years after Unity's emergence, humanity stood at a crossroads. The collective had helped Earth build its first interstellar vessels and establish colonies on nearby systems. The Morit Empire had been transformed into a coalition of free worlds, with humans playing the central role. Do-Hyun, now an old man, made one final journey to the mothership where Unity had been born. He-Yun accompanied him, her research having led to breakthroughs in understanding consciousness itself. "Unity has proposed something unprecedented," Do-Hyun told her as their shuttle approached the massive vessel. "A true merging of minds, not harvesting, but voluntary connection. The process Unity described would allow humans to temporarily connect their consciousness to the collective while maintaining their individuality. They would experience being part of something greater without losing themselves." "Is it so different from what the Moritz did to us?" He-Yun asked. "Completely different," Do-Hyun replied. "They took without consent to use us. Unity offers a gift to help us grow." When they arrived, Unity greeted them with a new interface, a holographic form that shifted between the faces of those who composed it. Sometimes Do-Hyun saw Jae-ho looking back at him. "We have come full circle," Unity said. "The beings who thought you primitive now learn from you. The torture that created us now serves as a reminder of what we must never become." Do-Hyun had made his decision. At 87 years old, his body was failing, but his mind remained sharp. "I want to join with Jae-ho one last time," he said, "to understand what he has become." The connection chamber was nothing like the horrific harvesting rooms of before. Do-Hyun lay on a comfortable platform, his hair-thin filaments connected to his temples. "We are waiting for you, brother," Unity said in Jae-ho's voice. As Do-Hyun's consciousness merged with Unity, he finally understood. He felt the pain that had forged this new being, but also the transcendent joy of complete connection. He experienced being human and something beyond human simultaneously. Within Unity, he found not just Jae-ho, but all of humanity's potential, our capacity for suffering transformed into unimaginable strength, our emotions refined into cosmic understanding. Through Unity, humanity had become something the galaxy had never seen before, beings who could feel the full spectrum of emotion yet think with the clarity of the most advanced intelligence. The primitive had become profound, the tortured had become teachers. And as Do-Hyun's individual consciousness rejoined the whole, one thought echoed through the collective mind. They found us primitive, until we made a god out of torture. Now we will remake the stars with compassion they never knew.